The Solitaire series, Episode 30, The Six of Hearts, by Troy Lambert. Narrated by Troy Lambert. Janice watched through binoculars from the back seat as another car, a Ford something or other four-door, pulled up outside the limousine service. It parked behind a new-looking Mazda Miata convertible. "What are we doing here?" her partner and driver asked. He was FBI, and technically so was she, even though her actual task involved a joint task force that included the Nevada Gaming Commission. "I'm not sure yet." "I thought you said your cover was blown," he said to her. "It is, in some places," she answered, and it was. The last man she'd met with had known her real name. What wasn't clear was who else knew that Cynthia, serial gambler and card counter, was actually Janice Everett, FBI. "So, what's your next move?" "I don't know. Now shut up." She also knew little about where they were. The limo service was owned by a guy named Simeon. He ran it with his family, a group of Romanian immigrants who were engaged in various activities, but primarily legal ones, as far as her research told her. That didn't mean they didn't know about illegal activity or weren't partners in it. The only reason she was sitting outside this place was a tip she'd gotten that Jack might have left something here and that he would be back for it. Burt appeared to be long gone. While she watched, a couple of limousines came and went from the gated lot behind, but with uniform regularity that didn't seem unusual. The cars out front didn't seem to be related at all. What the hell was going on here, and what had Jack left behind? Her choice was to watch and wait, assuming Jack would be back at some point. Her gut told her that would get her nowhere. It felt like Jack was gone already too, even though she had no evidence to support that. She still had her cover ID and everything associated with it, but using it at this point was a risk, even with a disguise. "Face forward," she told her partner. She pulled her bag of disguises from the floor of the car. Inside were several wigs, a few outfits, and she sorted through them. Burt knew her as the redhead, as did most of her contacts. Her true hair color, a dark brunette, rarely showed through, other than her telltale eyebrows, but no one ever questioned her. What woman didn't dye her hair, and what man who wanted to live dared mention it? She thought quickly. Blonde, heavy makeup, short skirt, loose top so she could still hide a pistol in the small of her back just in case. "I'm going in," she said as she changed. She caught her partner's eyes checking her out in the rearview mirror. "Eyes front." He laughed. "Seen it before. What are you thinking?" "I'm going to try to rent a limo. At least then I'll know who's inside." She knew that might not work, but she had to try. It was better than nothing. She slipped from the car after checking herself out in the mirror. As she stood, she put the weapon in the back of her skirt. The small pistol felt heavy there, and she almost changed her mind and left it behind. But she kept it. "Good luck," her partner said as she shut the back door. "Thanks," she said and headed across the street. She walked towards the gate, heels clicking on the pavement as she went. "Who is that?" Pick asked. He peered at the tiny monitor. "Are you expecting someone else?" Burt looked too. The woman at the gate looked oddly familiar to him, but something was different, and he didn't think he even knew her name in the first place. She looked up at the camera and smiled. "Jesus Christ," Simeon said. He moved to go to the door. "We're coming too," Pick said, and he gestured to Burt, who followed. Burt shrugged and checked his watch. Now 35 minutes until his flight left, the one for Atlantic City, the one that would get him out of Solitaire's reach for good, or at least long enough that his name would be cleared and he'd be welcome again in Vegas without death threats or any of the other odd stuff going on. Pick wanted him to stay and help. Burt wanted to convince him of how horrible that idea was, and he wanted to leave anyway. He wanted out, and wanted out bad. Simeon buzzed the gate, and a moment later the woman walked into the room. Burt recognized her then. Her hair had been red before. From the game of Crazy Eights, she'd been one of the survivors, including him. But she'd been a winner. "Cynthia?" He was sure that was it. Jesus, Burt, he told himself, you are losing it. You're usually so good with names. Her eyes flickered as she clearly recognized him too and gave him a small nod. He nodded back. But Pick noticed. That little bastard was getting to be a real pain in the ass. You two have met? He said with enthusiasm. We have, Burt answered for her. We gambled at the same table. Who won? Pick asked. Burt looked down and smiled. She did? Pick said. Pleased to meet you, Miss... Cynthia, she said. Nice to meet you. She let her sentence trail off in a question. My friends call me Pick, he said. The pleasure is mine. How can I help you? Simeon asked. I'm looking for someone, she said. Burt saw her hesitate. She was hiding something. Something important. Who would that be? Simeon asked. She looked from Simeon to Pick, to Burt, and then back again. I was told Jack Bardlow might have left something here. Burt felt like she'd just made the decision to reveal her true motives. He had a sense for these things. This woman was in trouble. Hell, they all were. If he was lucky, Pick would take her, not him, and he could leave. Speaking of which, Burt looked at his watch. 28 minutes. Shit. He'd never make it. Of course, if he was the only passenger, the plane would have to wait, right? Pick turned to him. Are you in a hurry to get somewhere? I was. What do you know about Jack? Pick asked the woman. I just heard he left something here. Why do you want to find him? Don't lie, Burt thought. Don't lie, because this crazy guy will sense it, and he'll kill you. But the woman was much smarter than he gave her credit for. She either sensed Pick's perceptiveness too, or she'd just surrendered to telling the truth. A friend asked me to find him. This is the last lead I have. Pick smiled. That smile disturbed Burt down to his bones. The man's smile got wider, taking up most of his face, making him feel like any moment the top of his head would fall off. Well, we all have reasons to find him now, don't we? We have a team here. Not me, Simeon said. Alex stood beside him, shaking his head. Burt was shocked Pig didn't just off him on the spot. Oh, of course not. You've been very helpful, Pick said. The knife appeared in his hand again, and what seemed like less than a second later, a second mouth had opened in a smile under Simeon's chin. His hand went to his throat and was quickly covered in blood. His real mouth moved once, twice, as if he were trying to say something. His eyes went wide and glassy, and he fell with his back against the counter, then slid to the floor. A large man rushed from the back room, and suddenly a gun appeared in Pick's hand. You just stop right there, Pick said. You tell Simeon's brothers they have a new partner. Me. I'll be back later to discuss terms. Until then, you're in charge. I'll pay you appropriately. The large man looked first at Pick, then at his fallen boss, and said something in a language Burt didn't understand. But the man only hesitated for a moment. Yes, sir, he said. His voice shook, his hands clenched, but he clearly made a rapid choice. It was a good one. The smell of blood struck Burt in the nose, and he almost puked. He felt uncomfortable. The strange clothes, strange place, his forced exit from his escape plan. His friend Simeon was dead. Bile rose in the back of his throat as he woke from his trance and realized what was really going on. But he knew that to puke would be a horrible idea. That would bring consequences, dire ones. Despite all of his setbacks, Burt wanted to live. He looked at the woman then. Cynthia, had she said? She was pale and looked like she might throw up too, even though he knew she'd seen men die before, and recently. They'd shared that experience. He wondered why she wasn't on the run like he was, or rather, had been. Your first job, Pig told the man, is to clean this mess up. I want it spotless when I come back. Understood? Burt saw the movement. He opened his mouth to say something, to shout a warning maybe, but it was too late. A gun appeared in Cynthia's hand. He moved towards her. Time slowed. He saw a flash, then heard the sound, a small pop. 38, probably. Pick turned and moved faster than Burt could have imagined possible. He spun, but not because anything struck him. Burt saw the large man so recently put in charge grab his arm, but his focus stayed on the woman. She moved the pistol, readjusting her aim. But Pick was on her. Her arm bent, and with a flash of movement, the gun flew from her grasp. It spun in the air, end over end. Burt moved forward, and now behind Pick. Everything seemed surreal. Pick's arm came up, his fist curled. Burt saw it all in detail before he turned his attention on the spinning weapon, which had reached the top of its trajectory and was now headed downward. He calculated quickly and dove for it. Metal touched one hand and the gun spun further away, but he reached out, using his right hand to grab the wooden handle. In midair, Burt pivoted, more smoothly than he would have thought possible. He was falling now, his back to the floor, the gun held firmly in his right hand. He found the trigger, aimed the best he could, and pulled it twice. The syrup of time became fully liquid as the sound of the last shot faded. Pick buckled, his right leg folding. An inhuman shriek came from his throat until the second shot destroyed his trachea. The rest of the air from his lungs came out in a single wheezing cough. Blood spurted, then his face struck the floor, and it pooled. An envelope flew from his inside jacket pocket and spiraled lazily to the floor. Burt looked up to find the woman staring at him. He realized it was because he was now aiming her gun at her chest. He lowered it. What the hell was that? The large man moaned, and Burt turned to see that he was bleeding, but mildly, from a shot to his arm. He had a cell phone in his hand. "Don't," Burt tried to say, but he heard a mechanical voice from the speaker. 911, what is your emergency? "I've been shot," the man said weakly. "I need an ambulance." Burt raised the gun, but a second later the woman was next to him. "Don't," she said. "We need to go." "Go where?" "That part I don't know, but we have to get out of here." "Who are you, anyway?" "I'll explain on the way. Let's go." Burt scanned the room, bent, and picked up the envelope that had fallen to the floor. Then he followed the woman. His plans for escape had died with Simeon, along with his plans to live quietly. His status as a fugitive had probably just gone up with the death of Pick, whoever he was. Going with this woman seemed like a better option than waiting for the police, but just barely. Still, the lesser of two evils and all that. Burt took her weapon and put it in the pocket of his sweatshirt, and then followed her out the door. She walked rapidly to a car parked across the street, and he followed her into the back seat. In the distance, he could already hear sirens approaching. "Drive," she said to the man behind the wheel. And he did. Thanks for listening to the Solitaire series, Episode 30, The Six of Hearts. Stay tuned for Episode 31, The King of Clubs.